informal speaker series. And welcome to that. Informal, no, informal. And what that means, one of the things that means is if you run out of a drink in the middle of the speaker, our speakers don't care at all. Just get up, the bar stays open, go get a drink, come back, and that's what this is all about. Tonight we're delighted to have two speakers, both of whom are going to talk about history. The history of Wallace and Duplin County. Sonny's going to focus a little bit more on Wallace because that's where we live. And Rich is going to talk about the history of River Landing. And I would really be remiss starting this if I didn't talk about one of the most important historic events in Wallace and River Landing history, just to start. And that is the 2011 River Landing Club Championship.
Well, that's good audio.
I don't know why I don't think they're going to bring it up. We have a lot of people here, a number of people here who were born and bred and raised in Wallace. And they know a lot about Wallace. As I look around and see that most of you, I think it's safe to say the majority of you, have come from other parts of the country. And so our goal tonight is for you to learn about your new community. New now, some of us have been here for quite a few years. But still, we've learned a little. I think tonight we're going to learn a lot more about the town of Wallace and its history. And River Landing. I've heard a lot of stories about River Landing, how it really got started. And some of them are really true, and some of them are really Rich is actually, when we talked to Rich about doing this, he kind of lit up. He said, you know, I'd like to learn about this myself. And he's had a lot of fun in the last couple weeks pulling together some facts and talking deeply to the Berkeley family and get some history. So we're going to start tonight with Leon Sonny Sykes. Several of you, many of you here know Sonny. He writes an article in the Duplin Times every week, a historical article. A little bit of background about Sonny. He was actually born in Wilmington, but he's a graduate of Wallace Rosedale High School. Went to Barton College where he majored in biology and history. He's a past president of Duplin County Historical Society and serves on the Board of Trustees of the Duplin County Historical Foundation in Rose Hill. He's a noted author. He has published 3 volumes of the Duplin County History records for genealogical research. He's also completed a book back in the mid-'80s on Duplin County places past and present, for which he earned the Willie Parker Peace Award. He is past tourism director for Duplin County. So Sonny has got just an unbelievable amount of knowledge and information and an incredible interest in Duplin County. So I'll introduce, and then Rich, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You know Rich, who he is. I'll say one thing about his subject. I wish Leon Wells were here because I would rather have Leon tell us than me. But if you ask about the history of River Landing, and you ask somebody that's lived here, one of the things Leon said to me is, you know what, Wendell, you're doing real well with making some money, but Wendell, you're crazy. And people thought he was nuts, starting River Landing. And they said, don't tell me that. Just, So that's, Rich is going to tell you a little bit more about that. All right, Sonny Sykes. We're going to give you plenty of time in the end to ask questions. If you have an absolute burning question, go ahead. You can't wait. But if not, I'd rather not interrupt the speakers too much. We'll give you guys about 15 minutes in the end to ask questions of both Rich and Sonny.
Thank you very much. I don't know who you were talking about earlier. I kind of feel like Elizabeth Taylor's 7th husband. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know if I can make it interesting. And everybody else is from somewhere else. I hope I don't bore you with this. History is just fascinating to me, always has been. I don't understand it. Don't know how, but it does. I was supposed to address both Duplin County's and Wallace's history, but I got to working on this thing, and Wallace has turned out a little bit to be too long, I think, to do both. And I know Duplin County's history is extensive, and that'll have to be later or some other time, whatever you want to do. But maybe start with Wallace. How long have most of you been here?
2 years.
Well, sometime is
It's Wednesday. Some of you already know some of what I'm going to say, but just as a refresher, maybe some of it is new to you. I hope so, and I hope it's interesting. Some of the earliest, Duplin County was really settled very early in the scheme of things across the state. It was it became a county in 1750, but there were people here before then. And some of those people were the earliest settlers here, and they are the ones that began what we know today as Wallace. And the names were Boney, they spelled it B-O-N-I. They were originally immigrants from, I can say it correctly, Frankendorf, Switzerland. They came over in the 1730s. The Wells family, the Teachy family, the Stallings family, and the Sullivans were all early families here in Duplin County. They didn't move around much, as you can see. They're still here. And if you heard anybody say that if you're from Duplin County, you've got to be kin to everybody, that's right. The Boney family was, like I said, one of the first ones. A man by the name of William Boney settled down here in the 1740s. We consider him the founding father of Wallace. As you can see, in town and other places in records, the Boney family name that's been around for quite a while here. It's impressive to me that these early beginnings in the area the Boneys built and still exist today. And one of these things I thought of the other day that's still here. If you leave here and go downtown Wallace, 10th City, the stoplight, go straight across, you see a little creek down there with a bridge. Okay? If you'll glance over to your right and look, you'll see probably one of the oldest existing structures still in Duplin County. It was the old Boney Mill Pond. The old mill house is still there. And one of the storms tore it up, as you well know, some time back, and it's been repaired. There are timbers in that structure that were there in the 1780s or 1790s when it was built. It functioned as a mill. The millstones are still there. They're not in place. Some of the millstones are still there. You can see that. Everybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. You can still see the furrows carved in it where the grain was forced out to the edges and collected. And it's just remarkable that that has survived this long through all of our hurricanes. If you haven't seen it, the property's for sale now. And I don't know if you can get on it easily or not, but if you get a chance, you'll go take a look at it up close. And the house just beyond that, right up on the hill, the W.S. Boney house, it was built by one of the Boney descendants. They were built in 1870. Have you noticed how it looks from straight on? Curves out this way. Very unusual. Matter of fact, we've got it listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And the reason for that is that Mr. Boney wanted a curved stairway in the front of his house. So he had to redesign that thing to get it to fit in there. So that's the reason for it. It's highly unusual. Let's start back with the there were two, the Revolutionary War really did touch this area, not as dramatically as some other places in this state and other states, of course. But there were two events here. One of them in particular was in Wallace, and it was in August of 1781. At that time, British troops, British Redcoat Dragoons, had just unloaded a ship in Wilmington under the command of Major Craig, a very, what's the word for a military officer?
Brilliant.
I would say he was an expert in military tactics, okay? He came up what is now the old route, if any of you have been down at US Highway 117, basically the same place it was 200 and some years ago. When he got to Rockfish Creek, on the south side of town, preparing for this event, the Dukeland militia had knowledge of it through correspondence. And Colonel James Keenan and 400 military Dukeland militiamen had set up a small breastworks there. They were undertrained, very little ammunition, but they were full of that spirit of independence. When Major Craig and his red-coated dragoons charged through there, they almost, they completely routed the Dukeland militia. But I've always thought, we got a monument down there at the site. I always thought that they really dared to challenge this, knowing what was coming ahead. That took a lot of fortitude. And not only that, after all that was over, several months later, they dared to challenge. And they got together a group and followed what was left of Craig's troops all the way to Newbern and were successful in eliminating one of the officers. Where's that officer?